What happens when the world instinctively turns away, but one man in white robes walks toward the pain? Why did Pope Francis, the leader of more than 1 billion souls, stop and embrace a man whose face others feared to see? And what if, in a single silent hug, we discovered the most powerful sermon never spoken? In today's world, appearance is everything. We curate, crop, and filter ourselves until every flaw is erased, every blemish softened. We're conditioned to value symmetry, to equate beauty with worth. And when something or someone falls outside those invisible boundaries, society often looks away. That's why what happened in November 2013 felt so extraordinary. On a gray morning in St. Peter's Square, as crowds gathered and cameras clicked, Pope Francis did something quietly radical. He stopped. He didn't keep waving. He didn't look past. He saw. And in the sea of faces, he was drawn to one that others had often turned from. Vinicio Riva. Vinicio suffers from neurofibromatosis, a rare genetic condition that causes painful tumors and severe facial disfigurement. His appearance has long been a source of fear for strangers, discomfort for passers-by, and rejection by a world obsessed with beauty. But that day, something different happened. Pope Francis walked directly toward him, not with hesitation, not with caution, but with warmth. He placed a gentle hand on Vinicio's head. He leaned in, and then, in full view of the world, he embraced him. Not briefly, not politely, but fully, with presence, with stillness, with love. No speeches, no flash of ceremony, just the unshakable dignity of one human soul meeting another. Later, Vinicio would say, "It was like being in paradise." And truly it was. Because in that moment, something ancient and sacred unfolded. Compassion without condition. That hug didn't end with the embrace. It continued in headlines, in hearts, and in the questions it left behind. Why did it move us so deeply? What did it awaken in us? To answer that, we must look not at the act, but at the meaning behind the touch. That embrace between Pope Francis and Vinicio wasn't just a fleeting gesture, it was the beginning of a deeper message, one carried not in words, but in presence. Throughout the Gospels, there's a pattern in the way Jesus interacted with the outcast, the afflicted, the feared. He didn't keep his distance. He didn't perform miracles from afar. He touched the leper before healing him. Not because he had taboo, because that touch carried something more powerful than medicine. It restored dignity. In that single act, Jesus was saying, "You are not unworthy. You are not impure. You are not invisible." Pope Francis, in his quiet embrace of Vinicio Riva, continued that legacy. He didn't need to say a word. His hug became a living sermon. It told the world, you are not untouchable. You are not forgotten. Because true healing doesn't begin when the illness disappears. It begins when the soul feels seen, when the heart feels worthy, when someone looks past your wounds and says, "I still see you. I still value you." In a society that often sterilizes compassion, placing it behind hashtags and donations, this was raw, present, human. That hug said more than 1,000 sermons ever could. It told us that the most sacred act is not to fix, it's to hold. And yet, even as the world watched in awe, we must ask, what made this moment so extraordinary in the first place? Perhaps the answer lies not in what Pope Francis did, but in how the world has been taught to see. To truly heal someone, We must first learn to truly see them. And what Pope Francis saw that day wasn't defined by illness, it was illuminated by humanity. To most onlookers, Vinicio's face was something to look away from, something uncomfortable, something confronting. His skin bore the story of suffering, and his features challenged society's narrow definition of beauty. But to Pope Francis, that face wasn't a burden to be pitied. It was a sacred canvas. He didn't see a man disfigured. He saw a man deserving of dignity, of eye contact, of human touch. And in that moment, he looked not with the eyes of judgment, but with the gaze of compassion. He once said, "You have to touch the wounds of others. You have to get your hands dirty." This wasn't a metaphor for Pope Francis. It was his way of life. He believes that love must be willing to reach into discomfort. That compassion, if it stays clean and distant, isn't really compassion at all. That day in the square, he didn't ask Vinicio what was wrong. He didn't whisper platitudes or offer prayers from afar. He simply stood close, and through his silence, he said everything. "I see you. I honor you. You are not what the world fears." It was a moment where love stopped being abstract and became action. And the world noticed. Cameras captured the moment. Images of the embrace spread across borders. But what did people actually see? And what did Pope Francis hope they would understand? When love dares to draw close, especially to what the world avoids, it creates a ripple that no camera lens can fully capture. But that day, the world caught a glimpse. In the moments following Pope Francis's embrace of Vinicio Riva, cameras flashed. Journalists leaned in. Photographers captured frame after frame of something rare, something raw. And within hours, the image began to move. It traveled across continents. Headlines raced to find the right words. Unforgettable, shocking, holy. People shared it not just because it was beautiful, but because it was unexpected. In a world dominated by polished press releases and carefully staged photo ops, here was a moment that felt undeniably real. No one had planned it. No one had scripted it. But that's exactly what made it powerful. To Pope Francis, it wasn't performance, it was presence. He didn't hug Vinicio to make a statement. He hugged him because it was the most human thing to do. He wasn't seeking headlines. He was restoring visibility to a man the world had chosen not to see. This wasn't about charity, it was about connection. Because holiness, as Pope Francis has quietly taught again and again, isn't about rising above. It's about reaching down. And leadership? True leadership doesn't distance itself from pain. It leans in, it listens, it loves. That hug went viral for a reason. Not because it shocked us, but because it awakened something we often forget. The world doesn't need more spectacle. It needs more soul. The next time you find yourself walking past someone, the world overlooks someone different, scarred, or carrying pain you can't see. Pause. Just for a moment, remember Pope Francis. Remember that silent hug in St. Peter's Square, the way he stepped forward without fear, the way he reached out, not with gloves, not with a speech, but with his arms. He didn't ask for background. He didn't wait for approval. He didn't need a reason. Because sometimes, what the world needs most is not another explanation. It needs someone brave enough to hold what others are afraid to touch, to see what others ignore, to love when it's most uncomfortable. At Mindful Way Television, we believe the deepest truths often arrive without noise, that real compassion isn't loud, it's present, and that dignity is not reserved for the flawless. It lives in every soul, waiting to be acknowledged. If this story stirred something in you, Help us keep it alive. Share it with someone who needs to know they are seen. Subscribe to Mindful Way Television for more stories that go beyond the surface histories that remind us who we are and what we're capable of when we choose presence over performance. Leave us a comment. Have you ever witnessed a moment that redefined what love looks like to you? We'd love to hear it. And if you're ready for the next quiet revolution, watch our next video. It may not shout, but it will stay with you. Thank you for walking this path with us. Let's keep walking with open eyes, open hands, and open hearts.